Good evening, people. Welcome to the Brews at 10 on my left eye. I'm your host, Lefty. You're all very welcome here this evening. How are you brewing tonight? Great to see Davinia, Odin, and The Truth already in the chat. Great to see you. Solidari-Tea, everybody. Davinia, you're all ready with your brew. That's great. Yeah, I've got mine here, of course. Let me keep warm on this chilly evening in the United Kingdom of Dystopia. Yeah, let me know how you've been. Please do make sure you've hit thumbs up on the stream. Give us a boost. Feel free to share us around your social media as well as providing us with as many tea-based puns as you can think of in the chat. Yeah, so thanks a lot for smashing the thumbs up button. Sorry not to have been with you yesterday for the Sunday live stream. Bit of a schedule clash, so apologies for that. It feels like so long since I've been with you, good people, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, they, thems and comrades alike. I believe PMQs last Wednesday was the last time I was on stream. In fact, it was. And good evening, Chris. Hope you're very well, brother. Great to see you once again. So what's coming up on the stream? Suspended seems to be the word of the day. As you see in the title of the stream, there appears to be a severe problem now with the Hamas and Israel ceasefire. It's been suspended because, well, we've been saying for weeks now, Israel have been breaking the terms of the ceasefire quite brazenly, quite openly as well. And Hamas don't want to hold up their end of the bargain, so they're holding back the next round of hostage releases at the moment, but more on that to come. Elsewhere in the world of suspensions, another Labour MP has had the whip removed and been suspended because of comments on a WhatsApp group. I'll be talking a little bit about that. And speaking of MPs, it was announced today that they're due to get another pay rise, which is something else I'll be coming on to later in the stream. Andy Carter, great to see you, brother, and Morbius as well in the chat. Great to see a lot of the Brew crew regulars joining me once again. Always great to see you. There's a few other goings on as well that we'll be catching up on, as well as a few comedy clips and articles and stuff. Yeah, quite right there. That is the truth. The truth. Flipping freezing today. Make sure you all got a massive cup of Solidari-Tea. I hope you like that meme at the start of the stream. More to come at the end. So yeah, please do stick around with me for as long as you can this evening. got a few process to share with you that I've noticed as well. Always do like to show a good bit of non-violent direct action here on my left eye. Davinia, you've had snow. Whereabouts is that? You'll have to forgive me, people. I sometimes struggle to keep up remembering which regions of the country some people are from. But I'm also blessed, of course, to have such a range of geographical locations that you fantastic viewers come from, including around the world as well. Okay, let's give a customary thanks to all the members before I bring up the pop-up chat. This is the latest updated list. Thank you very, very much for all of your contributions. Just quickly while I'm on that topic, I've mentioned recently on live streams there's been a few gremlins in the works. Down with YouTube, I've tried my best to make inquiries about it. At the moment, some of the memberships are bouncing back, essentially. Whichever method used to pay for them will be reimbursed to your account. But on the last stream, 10 of the memberships went through, so thank you very much for those. And it really is beyond me at this point, because on the stream some of the memberships were going through and some of them weren't, so it's obviously not down to any settings or anything like that that I've adjusted at my end. So and a few of you were having trouble with comments recently as well, I think I remember seeing, so apologies for that, people. These gremlins in the works are out of my hand at the moment. But thank you, Andy Carter, for that gifted membership, and the name is underneath it. It's Phil McCracken, who's a long-term follower on the show. Great to have him back in the membership programme. Thank you very much for that, Andy. Okay, there's the chat. I'll just adjust the background. If you'll bear with me for 1 moment. Hey, voila. Yes, thanks again. As I said on the last live stream, lots of super chats, lots of memberships. 10 of them were processed. But, thank you very much. Every single one of you. Alwyn, great to see you. Just scrolling through the chat to see if I've missed anybody out. Davinia, that's an odd one, about only 9 of them gifted. Well, I guess that just goes to reinforce what I said earlier. Obviously, it's nothing to do with the settings here in the My Left Eye studio. And Morbius, thank you for that gifted membership as well. So, again, sorry, just back to your issue, Davinia. Apologies for that. As I said, that appears to be out of my hands at the moment. Thanks again, Morbius. Jonathan Lemon Wrestling Show. That's a very interesting name. I know it does just pick a random subscriber. I'm very pleased to say at the moment I've over 3,300. Funny name. But thanks for your feedback on the gifted membership situation as well, people. Really do appreciate it. Got a light-hearted comedy clip lined up. Get into that in just a minute or two. I'm just checking we've got everything queued up properly here. To make sure I've got a news feed up while I'm streaming, just in case there's any breaking stories while we're on the stream. I forgot to say as well, another thing I'll be talking about later on is the second farmers' protest in London over inheritance tax, and that was today. Because they don't want to pay the tax like the rest of us. Yes, Morbius, you're quite right there in the chat. That seems to be the case. If it doesn't show the name of the recipients underneath gifted memberships, then they generally bounce back. Andy Carter with some breaking news. He's getting a cup of tea. So we'll keep you posted on that one, people. That's a breaking news story. Exclusive here on My Left Eye. Quality streaming. Quality viewers. I forgot to mention as well, there are a few other ways you can support the channel. Super chats are open on the live stream. Super thanks if you're watching back on a replay. We do have a buy me a coffee account as well, but the preferred method is of course gifted memberships, as you get to support the channel and grow our lovely community that we have here on My Left Eye. But the choice is yours. Really do appreciate all of the support, people. And just a little more on that story. The kettle is still boiling. That is a developing situation. Thanks for the updates from our on-the-spot reporter Andy Carter. We'll come back to that story in just a minute. But now we go over to our friends at Broken News with Larry and Paul, who have another interesting developing story as well. And then we'll get back to this brewing situation. So please do enjoy. This is Larry and Paul. Give them a follow if you don't know them already.
Welcome to Broken News. Still to come, living it up in the Levant. We explore new and exciting real estate opportunities proving to be an open goal for investors. But first, the search engine Google has reported a 2,000% increase in the number of people asking, what is ethnic cleansing? It's after the mainstream press observed a respectful silence over the USA's latest batshit plan for the Middle East. Well, Mello Fingery is an expert on geopolitical affairs and haircuts of boy bands of the 1990s, and Mello joins us now. Hello, Mello.
Morning, Dawning.
Mello, clearly a lot of people are talking about it, but what is ethnic cleansing?
Well, Dawning, I think at this stage it might be quite useful to explain what ethnic cleansing isn't.
Right, okay, yeah.
Because as journalists, we have a duty to follow strict definitions. You can't just call anyone a Nazi, for example, even if they have a swastika tattoo, beat up all the gays, and goose step up to Aldi every day. But what is clear is that ethnic cleansing is not the mass expulsion of one ethnic or religious group from an area by those of another area.
Right, that's very interesting, Mello, because I think many people would think that what you've just said would be the definition.
Yes, and I think that's what is causing confusion. Let me give you an example.
Okay.
In the 1920s, during the pacification of Libya, Italian authorities forcibly removed 100,000 of the indigenous population and gave their valuable land and property to Italian settlers.
I see. So if, say, for example, here, the USA had a policy of forcibly removing an indigenous population in order to gain their valuable land,
that would not be ethnic cleansing. Yeah, correct.
Not. Okay, well, let's take another example. Let's talk about the treatment of Rohingya Muslims in Myanmar.
Oh, ethnic cleansing, totally. Classic ethnic cleansing. That is textbook ethnic cleansing.
But something like an American Muslim ban would therefore...
Oh, not even close. Not even close. Different thing altogether.
Right, okay. Perhaps, Mello, I'm not following here. Let's try this. Could a possible definition of ethnic cleansing include coercing a group of people to flee their homeland and then preventing their return by destroying all their property?
Oh, yes, indeed, such as burning villages in Darfur, for example.
Yeah, so if the USA had a hand in...
It would not come under that definition, correct, yeah.
Right. It just seems as though what you're saying is that these definitions don't apply if the USA has anything to do with it.
That's correct, yeah.
And why is that?
Well, because they're the good guys, aren't they? America are the good guys. You know. Sort of they police the world. USA, USA, USA. So.
Hello, thank you. What a lovely story. That's it from Broken News. You're up to date.
Larry and Paul, please do give them a follow. Really great stuff. Really great stuff. Obviously referring to Trump's ludicrous plan, this ridiculous, well, what he sees as a real estate deal. His proposal to relocate every single Gazan into neighbouring countries who have roundly told him to fuck off. Madness. Madness. And summed up very well there by Larry and Paul at Broken News. Thanks, Andy, for the update on the situation. 1.5 sugars brewing for 5 minutes. That's the latest quality news here on My Left Eye. I guess you're right there, Morbius. It is quite a negative phrase. Breaking news instead of fixing news. Or emerging, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, there are so many batshit crazy things about the proposal from Trump. Recently, it's hard to know where to begin. But we are going to start, story-wise that is, with Gaza and this developing, breaking story today that the ceasefire could be on the cusp of being ruined. And we have been saying for some time this would be due to Israel breaking the agreements, which they have. They've never, in their 80-year history as a nation, stuck to any agreement, whether it's a ceasefire deal, other accords, where international law is concerned. Every single time. So it wasn't exactly a long shot to predict that this would happen. Let's see what's happening. Just get the screen up. It took so long to get this deal together. And what's been happening, of course, Israel have been targeting individuals, organisations, buildings, this sort of thing, after the ceasefire. It's been agreed. So Hamas's response is that they're going to be suspending the next planned release of hostages, as I mentioned earlier. So let's just go through some of the finer details. So the announcement was given as a warning, saying that it's giving mediators ample time to pressure the occupation, that is Israel, into fulfilling its obligations. And it says the door remains open for the next scheduled releases to go ahead, so they're not absolutely ruling it out. I guess they're just trying to emphasise how sick and tired they are of not sticking to their side of the bargain. Also, where aid is concerned, nowhere near enough is going through. The agreements that were made, they've fallen behind on that part of the ceasefire deal to allow more food, medical supplies, all these essentials that they've been without for so long, for 15 months or so now. It also says it's worth noting that other Palestine officials have made similar complaints, for example, about Israel's reluctance to allow caravans into Gaza. That is a stream of people, not the thing that you would take on your holidays that you attach to the back of a car. So to allow these caravans, these massive convoys of people into Gaza to house the vast number of Palestinians whose homes have been destroyed. But negotiations on phase 2, remember we're still in phase 1 of this deal, so the negotiations haven't begun yet for phase 2. In the wake of Trump's insistence that all Palestinians must leave and that the United States intends to take over and redevelop the Gaza Strip, Hamas may be wondering what there is to negotiate about. The UN, obviously very concerned. They say they want to make sure all parties abide by their stated agreements under the ceasefire, and it's crucial that they uphold all the relevant aspects of the agreements and all relevant timelines. We all know that Netanyahu doesn't want peace. He doesn't care about the hostages. And as soon as this announcement was made, there were protests in Israel against Netanyahu himself in Tel Aviv, because it's just been getting increasingly obvious how little he actually cares about the hostages. And it is, from his point of view, which is sick and twisted, of course, as well as fascistic, evil, all the very worst elements put into one. Because the way he sees it is without the hostages, he won't have what he thinks is an excuse to continue a collective punishment and a genocide. That's what it boils down to. And there's some pictures of the crowds. It coincides with the 24th birthday of one of the hostages who've been released, and unfortunately the mainstream media have been focusing solely on the condition of one particular Israeli hostage who was released and was a lot gaunter than he was when he got inside, not nearly giving as much dedication to the Palestinian hostages who were illegally held in Israeli prisons, who, believe you me, were treated in a far harsher manner than the Israeli hostages. And the reason he's probably so underweight is because there's no food getting into Gaza. I saw some disgusting footage earlier of children being encouraged by the parents, goaded into destroying food from an arms convoy. They were jumping up and down on all of the boxes and packages, kicking them around, talking tens of families celebrating. Who raises their children like that? Honestly, it's beyond sickening. And I wish that the mainstream media would point that out more. Things such as that. As well as wake up and bloody realise that if any of the hostages are underweight and malnourished, it's because Israel has deliberately been malnourishing the entire region. I don't know if they expect things to fall down from the sky. And obviously the cases of this that they keep focusing on are in the minority where the hostages are concerned. We've seen several of them being released in recent weeks as part of the deal, and a lot of them look fine. We see them coming out smiling and laughing with their now former captors, and being handed gift bags. I don't recall seeing any of the Palestinians getting off the coaches when they're coming back from the Israeli prisons with gift bags, or looking anything like they did when they went inside. I heard a gentleman describing how he was forced to kneel down for 45 days straight with a blindfold on, and he said that any form of torture that you can imagine happens in these prisons, including electric shock therapy and other things that are against international law. It probably makes Guantanamo Bay look like Alton Towers. Let's just have a look at the on-screen chat. Thanks for the heads up there. Let's just give that a refresh. Bird's Nest Ratfest. Great to see you. Good point there as well, Bird's Nest. It's all been designed since World War II, arguably even prior to that, because after World War I we had the Balfour Declaration, then shortly after the end of World War II, just a few years later, that's when the State of Israel was created. And it's all been planned. So where were we? Sorry about the chat freezing there for a moment. Looks like it's all good again. And this is another element as well. Since this announcement, the Israeli army have been put on high alert. Apparently, Netanyahu just can't wait to get his finger back on the trigger, so to speak. And Reuters has cited an unnamed Israeli official as saying Netanyahu brought forward a meeting of his security cabinet. He'll hold an assessment with the cabinet today rather than tomorrow, after Hamas's decision to delay the release of the hostages. Ben Gvir is obviously equally as bad a warmonger, as it mentions there. Oh, and speaking of former Israeli staff, he's a former minister, of course. Something else that seems to have completely flown over the mainstream media's heads is this shocking interview with Yoav Gallant, who was the former defence minister, who also has a warrant out for his arrest, issued by the International Criminal Court, essentially admitting to ordering the Hannibal Directive, which we know was the order to the military to fire on their own citizens if they were taken hostage. And there are recorded, documented cases of vehicles being fired upon with Israelis in, having just been taken hostage by Hamas, as well as at the music festival, the notorious music festival that was it called Solar? Apologies, I can't remember the name of the music festival off the top of my head. But literally helicopters firing into the crowd at their own citizens just because they were aware that amongst them would have been members of Hamas. And he admitted to it. He openly admitted to it in I think it was an Israeli TV interview, Channel 12. Well, it would be in Israel because he'll get arrested if he leaves. Just quickly while I'm on that matter, it was sickening, of course, to see Trump and Netanyahu together. Should have been arrested as soon as he landed on the tarmac. But where Yoav Gallant's concerned, I don't think he'll be leaving the country anytime soon. Hopefully in handcuffs. And straight to The Hague. Just an update of what's happened so far in the few weeks of the ceasefire deal. 21 hostages have been released, 16 Israelis and 5 Thai, in exchange for more than 500 Palestinian prisoners. So that shows you the ratios there. And there are still thousands more, obviously, in the Israeli prisons. Thousands and thousands. So, as I said, they're at 21, but the agreement was 33 during phase 1. 33 hostages being released. So there's still 12 to go, 16 have been returned, another 17 yet to be handled. I said 21 there. Okay. Of those 17, Israel says 8 are dead, and in a lot of cases, as well as what I was just mentioning about the Hannibal Directive, they were victims of shelling. the indiscriminate bombing and shelling that's been happening, as well as targeted. And Israel have killed their own citizens. So the total amount of Palestinian prisoners that was supposed to be released is 1,900. And the next exchange was going to take place on Saturday, this coming Saturday. I'll just conclude this part by reading out Hamas's statement in full. And it says, over the past 3 weeks, the leadership of the resistance has monitored the enemy's violations and its failures to comply with the terms of the agreement. These violations include the delaying the return of displaced persons to northern Gaza, targeting them with shelling and gunfire in various areas of the Strip, and failing to allow the entry of humanitarian aid in all its agreed upon forms. Meanwhile, the resistance has fully honoured its commitments. Accordingly, the release of the Zionist prisoners, which was scheduled for February 15th, will be postponed until further notice, pending the enemy's compliance and the retroactive fulfilments of the past week's obligations. We reaffirm our commitment to the terms of the agreement as long as the occupation adheres to them. And that's the statement in full. Very direct there, calling them out as Zionists and oppressors. Thanks, Morbis. It was the Nova Music Festival, yeah. So I guess all they're expecting is a further statement from Israel, which will probably be a massive lie again, but still, just for the sake of it, to confirm that there won't be any further attacks as described and so on and so forth. But as I said earlier, they've never ever stuck to any kind of agreement in their 80-year history as a country. That's just how trustworthy as a nation they are. So please do let me know your thoughts about that. And feel free to jump in the comments if you're watching back on a replay. While we're on the topic, though, I will go over to a clip now of one of the protests that I mentioned. And it's the latest action from Youth Demand, who did a spraying action with the old fire extinguishers at Glasgow University. Protest calling for divestment. So let's see what's happening. Let us know if, I know we have a few Scots who are regular viewers here on My Left Eye. Let us know if you're Glaswegian.
In arms research, in arms investments. They have made us all complicit. Our tuition fees are going directly to causing a genocide in Palestine. We are all complicit. All Glasgow Uni students are complicit. It's our job to stand up and demand a trade embargo with Israel.
Apologies that the audio's very quiet. I've got it as loud as I can get it there.
And the UK, in order to prevent further complicity of the UK away with Palestinian genocide. Go to youth.demand.org today.
Yes, well done to Youth Demand, who I'm pleased to say I'm a supporter of. And I've been arrested at Youth Demand actions, as well as JSO. Youth Demand began as an offshoot, as it were, as part of the Just Stop Oil organisation. Obviously, specifically focused on the issues that the youth of the country feel they want to highlight the most. And at the moment, that's obviously what's happening in Palestine. And there are so many places, universities and so on and so forth who are actually complicit in this, but they don't advertise it, of course. So that's why we need organisations like Youth Demand to keep highlighting all this dirty money. So well done, well done. Okay, people. From one suspension, the suspension of hostage exchange, to another suspension, this Labour MP. Well, let's see what's happening there. Oliver Ryan has been suspended over WhatsApp messages, and he's the second MP to be suspended from a WhatsApp group which contained offensive messages. Now, we've all probably sent insults over social media in debates and so on and so forth, but when you're a member of Parliament and you represent a constituency, there are certain expected levels of behaviour. There's nothing wrong being blunt and direct and so on and so forth, but there's just some things that you don't say, especially not to your own constituents. As we're going to see here, he was summoned to a meeting with the Chief Whip, Sir Alan Campbell, after the Mail on Sunday published the messages. Ahead of the meeting, he issued an apology in which he said the comments in the group had been completely unacceptable and he regretted not speaking out at the time. Yeah, very genuine, I'm sure. Yeah, definitely not a mealy-mouthed apology there from Oliver Ryan. So he follows Andrew Gwynn, who was also sacked as a health minister, losing the whip after his participation in the WhatsApp group was revealed. In his statement, Ryan said, "I did not see every message, but I accept responsibility for not being more proactive in challenging what was said." He added, "I also made some comments myself, which I deeply regret and would not make today. For that, I wholeheartedly apologise." Mealy mouthy. Have they got any examples here? Let's take a look. Okay, yeah. So Gwynn, who was the first to be suspended, is the MP for Gorton and Denton. Around here. Appears to suggest a councillor should respond to a 72-year-old constituent asking about bin collections with the message, "I'm re-elected and without your vote, screw you. PS, hopefully you'll have croaked it by all the local elections." Or the outs, as he referred to them as. This is shocking. Shocking. In another exchange, he asked if an American psychologist will be attending an event. Gwyn replied, "No, he sounds too militaristic and too Jewish. Is he in Mossad?" Wow. Well, that's direct anti-Semitism there. Clearly. On a different occasion, he discusses Diane Abbott, who's been subjected to online abuse for so long now. And he discussed her representing the party at Prime Minister's questions, saying, "Yes, it's because it's Black History Month." So casual racism there from government MPs. This is what Labour voters voted for, we tried to tell them. Greater Manchester Police said a non-crime hate incident had been recorded after a small number of complaints relating to publicised messages allegedly from a WhatsApp group. Diane Abbott herself told the BBC's World at Once she's not surprised to learn about distasteful comments reportedly made about her in the WhatsApp group. Asked for her reaction, she said, "Well, it's very distasteful, but to be frank, it's not the first time people have said things like that about me in here, in the House of Commons. And I just have to, as it were, keep my chin up and get on with my job. I can't really think of anybody." We're talking about, this is the first female black MP in the House, first elected back in the 80s. And other than, I guess, potentially Jeremy Corbyn, I can't think of any other Labour MP who might have received such disgusting and undeserved abuse. Undeserved being the appropriate word there. Because obviously I can slag off Keir Starmer, Tony Blair, until the cows come home. Von Nakarizer, Satnav, great to see you in the chat. Hope you're doing very well. Now, the Tories have stuck their oar in for what it's worth. They say Keir Starmer can't now try and sweep this under the carpet. He should show some leadership, do the right and decent thing and expel them both. Well, it sounds strange to say, given that it's a Conservative, but these are obviously open goals that Starmer's putting in front of them. I have to say I agree. In both cases, it looks like we've had a raid, people. Welcome to people joining us from Helena and All Justice. Welcome to the Brews at 10 here on my left eye. We're just going over the MP suspension. For anyone who's not familiar with the channel, this is a channel made by socialists for socialists, discussing politics and society in the UK and around the world. So very warm welcome again to everybody joining us from Helena and All Justice. I do insist anyone who's not familiar listening live or back on replay, please do go to No Justice MTG on YouTube and subscribe. Thanks again to Helena. And Kevin Logan, apparently. Oh, fantastic. Shout out for Kevin Logan as well. Please do go and check out awesome content. They often collaborate together, of course, as well. Great stuff. Been following both of them for a while now. So great to see all you folks joining us over from Helena and Kev. I can see some familiar names as well. Great to see you again. And if we've not met before, I'm your host Lefty. So we just finished going over the Oliver Ryan suspension. And there's so many smug comments that have come out from Starmer's Labour recently. That one in particular sticks out with me, that he knew he was responding to someone who didn't vote for him. So he doesn't care. He just doesn't care. But that might be very short-lived. I'm going to be going over a couple of polls shortly as well, that I said I'd keep you updated on, and they look pretty foreboding for Labour. As far as the polling goes, it looks as though they're going to struggle to gain a second term in office. We look likely to be heading towards a hung parliament at the moment, or potentially even worse, a Tory reform collaboration, which is just beyond crazy. Thank you, Ruth, for subscribing. Thanks very much for that. And thanks, Morbius, for the gifted membership as well. Noah111, hope you enjoy your gifted membership perks. And you're from Scotland. We were just talking about Scotland before you joined us there, Ruth. If you happen to be from Glasgow, we were just talking about a recent action from Youth Demand where they sprayed one of the university buildings calling for divestment away from Israel. So let us know which part of Scotland you're from. It's always great to have Scots here in the streams. And thanks, Andy, for the gifted membership as well. Solidari-Tea. One more quick note for anyone who's not familiar with the Brews at 10. Feel free to throw in as many tea-based puns as you like in the chat. Especially words that end with TY, Solidarity, that kind of thing. Thanks again, Andy. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next article because I want to get through these polls, and I've got a couple of other clips as well. Quite a bit to pack in this evening. And I mentioned earlier that there's going to be another pay increase for MPs. Isn't that fantastic? So let's see what's happening there. Nothing for pensioners, no, sorry. More austerity, more cuts for ordinary people, but these already wealthy members of the upper class, as they are, have decided to further line their own pockets, so an increase of 2.8% to £93,904 per annum in April. And if they're so busy looking after the constituencies, as of course we know they all are, I think Nigel Farage is probably the best one for that, don't you think, people? No, seriously though, when do they have the time to spend all of this money? So what does that mean? The IPSA, Independent Parliamentary Standards Authority, said the rise should reflect government plans for workers such as teachers and NHS staff. Why don't you put NHS staff on £93,904 a year? The final decision will be held in mid-March. It's due to come in April, following a 2-week consultation beginning on Monday. Do they ever vote not to give themselves a pay rise? I don't think so. Last year it said it recommended 5.5%, in line with the deal awarded to senior civil servants after concluding the official pay figures did not fully reflect, quotes, underlying trends in public sector pay. IPSA has also recommended The 2.8% uplift should also apply to the £18,309 top up. Well, yeah, just chuck another 20 grand on there, why not? People are choosing between heating and eating. Why not just pay yourself an extra 20 grand? Sorry, sidetrack there. So that's awarded to MPs who chair select committees. You know, where they drag up MPs and other people and sometimes give them a decent grilling and then nothing comes of it. You just get to see whichever MP it is squirming in a chair for the afternoon. So just finally, MPs previously set their own salaries, but this changed after 2009 expenses scandal, which saw IPSA set up in an attempt to make the pay setting process more transparent and independent. And of course, the MP who was lowest on the expenses list was, of course, the Honourable Independent Member for Islington North, Mr. Jeremy Corbyn, who needs no introduction, although I just gave him an introduction. What do you think about that, people? Let's see what you're saying in the chat. Do turkeys vote for Christmas? Yeah, quite right. They should pay teachers that as well. I can't believe it. 93 grand. Plus backhanders, of course. So many of them, Labour, Tories, are lobbied. We don't know what's going on. We talk of envelopes and briefcases being exchanged in underground car parks at night. Often, don't we? In trench coats. We know what's going on. Hey Dominique, great to see you. I'm Bernie as well. So I think that's an absolute insult. How many times has Starmer gone on about the so-called 22 billion black hole? Well, I'll tell you how often he goes on about it. It used to be, we used to count the number of times he said it in PMQs when I do the PMQ streams on Wednesday. That's now been replaced with change. For those of you not familiar with the PMQ streams on the channel. It's always the same. It's just always the same. More for them, less for us. Ali Galadriel, great to see you as well. Yeah, I wonder what you think about that as well. If you're watching back on a replay, please do throw a comment down below. Just a quick reminder, the new people who raided in from Helena and Kev, please do make sure you've hit thumbs up on the stream while you're here. That'd be awesome. Thank you very much for that. Please do give us a share across your social media as well. Speaking of which, we're available on Blue Sky at the moment, which is the preferred way to follow the channel. But we still do have an account on Twitter. Hopefully we'll be able to fully move over to Blue Sky. And also available on Mastodon. Flow Snake, thanks for throwing up the watermelons as well. Please do feel free to do that, everybody, as well as Palestine flags, of course. And do that at your own will. Okay, let's see what we've got coming up next. Get onto those polls in just a moment, but I want to show a fantastic protest that I saw a clip of, which I'm going to share with you now, at the Willard Hotel, which is where Netanyahu was staying when he went over to visit Trump. And a few protesters went in there and relentlessly informed other residents at the hotel, other guests, just exactly what sort of a person they're sharing a hotel with. So if you've not seen this, please do check it out. It's great stuff.
Benjamin Netanyahu. He's staying upstairs. He is currently wanted by the international community for war crimes and genocide. And instead of arresting him on site like we were supposed to do, our president is hosting him like a friend.
In any other country that recognizes the United Nations in the current system of international rules-based order, this man would be arrested. Any European country, any other country, he would be arrested per the orders of the International Criminal Court. But instead, here he is again, coming to ask our presidents for favors. For what? At first he came to ask Biden for more 2,000-pound bombs to drop on people in tents who are starving to death. Now he's coming to ask Trump to forcibly displace those same people. And he is here in this hotel right now.
Right now. So
what is he doing?
We just thought you would want to know that you're dining with a war criminal, with this generation's Hitler. May your silence and complicity haunt you. It is a taint on your soul. Your grandchildren are ashamed of you.
Benjamin Netanyahu has the blood of 300,000 plus Palestinians on his hands.
Benjamin Netanyahu is our generation's Hitler. He is staying in this very hotel. Your silence and complicity in the Palestinian Holocaust is a stain on your soul.
Benjamin Netanyahu is a disgusting, wanted war criminal who has come to the United States after continuing to drop 2,000-pound bombs on people in tents who were starving to death for 15 months. And now he has the gall to ask the President of the United States to forcibly displace the same people who he starved to death. He for 15 months. Shame on this institution. Shame in any other country. He would be arrested for the order.
Shame on you! Shame on all of you in here!
Well done to those protesters. Fantastic stuff. The security there were quite baffling. Thought that they were going to like convince them to stop just by wafting their arms around a little bit. Sorry, I'll just bring the background music back in. Yeah, could you imagine? And I'm assuming that's obviously a very exclusive top-end hotel, of course. They wouldn't have just stuck him in at a cheap motel or anything like that. I won't name any hotel chains specifically, but you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Absolutely correct, Morbius. Shame on the Willard Hotel. I would assume that's in or close to Washington. Great protest, that. Great protest. And thanks Andy Carter for the update on your tea situation. For those of you joining us late, just a quick update on that. It was brewing for 5 minutes and it's 1.5 sugars. I hope you're all writing this down. Okay, moving on. Just one moment, people. glad you're liking the music. Poppy. Hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Yeah, just because this is a faceless channel, just like to have a little bit of background music so there's not too much radio silence, as they say. Or dead air, however you want to put it. So yeah, a couple of updates now on some polls that I've brought up on previous live streams, and it's looking increasingly dire for Labour. Like I was saying earlier, they've absolutely crashed and burned in polling, in popularity since they took over. It's not taken the population of the UK to quickly realise they just voted for more of the same. If only somebody had told them, if only there were, I don't know, YouTube channels that saw this coming, if you know of any. But now it has become so blatantly obvious. That's obviously trickled down and is affecting the polling. Now, one particular seat we've had our eye on for a while is Birmingham Yardley, which is Jess Stab You in the Front Phillips's constituency. Let's see how things are looking there. These come from Stats for Lefties, who I do recommend following on social media. I will quickly point out as well, I do take some polls with a pinch of salt. Obviously they're not an exact science. But the ones that Stats for Lefties use certainly seem to be quite accurate a lot of the time. So this is it. And the Workers' Party of Britain, who narrowly came second last time out. Not too narrowly. But they look set to take the seat, with Labour down in third after an 8% boost from Reform puts them on 25% in second. And Labour have tanked a whopping 13%. Normally, I guess at this point in a government, in a parliament, you're only seeing increments of small single-digit numbers in terms of polling. They might go up a couple of points, down a couple of points. These are huge, huge swings. And we're talking about a government that's only 10% of the way through its term. It's good to see more support for the Greens there, of course. I do encourage that people either vote for the Greens or independent socialists and grassroots socialist parties. Lib Dem having gone down 1%, but that looks pretty clear cut there, with unfortunately Reform picking up the most of Labour's losses there, according to the poll, at least anyway. Thanks for continuing to hit the like button. We're up to 30 likes at the moment. There's currently 52 people watching, so please do make sure you smash that. What do you think about this though, people? I would love to see the back of Jess Phillips. For obvious reasons, I wouldn't like to see Reform make further gains and take the seat. But I think for the first time out, the Workers' Party of Britain put out a pretty decent campaign. Obviously, a lot of the focus was on George Galloway. Aside from the issue of Palestine, there's precious little that I agree with George Galloway on. And of course, historically, his views on the Iraq occupation, of course. But he had the main focus, all of the light was on him, but for a party that went out for the first time, I think they did pretty well. Came a very narrow second in quite a few constituencies. And of course, that would mean I'm very confident Corbyn will be retaining his seat whether he's standing as an independent or not. So it'd be great to see him still in the House of Commons, whilst those who betrayed him, such as Jess Phillips, would be out of there, the same way as Jonathan Ashworth went, with a fantastic campaign from Shocker Adam. But it's not just Jess stab you in the front Phillips, who looks set to lose a seat, according to the polls at least. But Wes...
But shut up, Wesley!
Streeting could potentially be losing his seat as well. Let's see what's happening in Ilford North. I nearly said Ilford North earlier when I was talking about Corbyn instead of Islington North. So in Ilford North, Leanne Mohammed, who's an independent, has again stayed where she is on 33%, like the Workers' Party of Britain stayed on 29%, but Labour have lost so much popularity that that's been enough to project her winning the seat. She's not had to gain any more votes. People are just walking away from Labour again, and you can see it's more of an even split between the Greens, Reform and Conservatives in this example, for where those votes appear to have gone. Tories up 2%, Reform up 4%, Greens up 2%, and again, Lib Dem down 1%. Please let this happen. Please let Wesley go. A massive part of Leanne Mohammed's campaign was around Gaza as well. We've seen a lot of independents using that as part of the campaign. Also, I'm thinking of Keir Starmer's seat in Holborn St Pancras, where he's been challenged by Andrew Feinstein. I'd love to see the latest numbers from that constituency. Lib Dem's on 2% gives you a smile, Andy. Yeah, I can't say. Can't say I'm not joining you there. But there's still quite a way to go. Quite a way to go. 90% of the term left, of course. I'll keep you up to speed with these and other constituencies, of course. As I said, they're not an exact science. I take a lot of polls with a pinch of salt. It depends on who runs them, who's funded them, that kind of thing. Super Tiny, great to see you. Enjoy your tea and chocolates there. Oh yes, Poppy, I heard about that. I heard about the Kanye West thing. Some of the crap he's been tweeting. Always Twitter, never X. It's unbelievable. Like you say, those t-shirts. And he took a Super Bowl ad out for it. I don't follow American football myself, but I heard that protester jumped on the field when one of the performers was on. I think it might have been, is it Kendrick Lamar? I saw a clip of that earlier on. Great stuff. Eventually, of course, bungled off by security, unfortunately. But well done, that man. Just back on the Kanye West thing. Yeah. Is that just to win favour with Musk and with Trump? What? It's so bizarre, so dystopian. It's so on its head, obviously. Kanye West, being a black man, doing these kind of things is just like mind-bogglingly batshit crazy, I guess is the only real way you can describe it. Just to be clear, I don't follow Kanye West's account. That was reposted and shared, obviously. I met up with one of my friends on Saturday, and the first thing that he asked me about was whether I'd seen that or not. Nuts. Okay, people, I'm going to be bringing the stream to a close shortly. I do have another comedy clip lined up before we go, and then I'll see if anybody might be around for a redirect. Please don't go anywhere though, please do stick around. This is the latest one from Matt Green, who, if you're not familiar with, as always, please do check him out, but I'm sure most of you will have seen his content before, so this is the latest from him. Let's see what's happening.
So we know that the two really big issues for voters these days is number one, the economy, number two, immigration. Right, so how do we fix the economy? Rachel's on it. How's it going? Let's put a pin in that. To see if it's still alive? So it's our job to think about immigration. People are worried. What do we do? Well, we could make the positive case for it and point out that as an ageing population, we really need... No. That's basically telling people that they're wrong to care about it. Well, it's making a positive case. No, you can't make an economic case for immigration. I can. No, I mean you can't and then expect the voters to vote for us. Which voters are we talking about? Well, of course we're talking about hero voters. Hero voters. Yes, those plucky heroes who once voted for us, then voted for the Tories, then changed their mind and voted for us again. But the worry is they might change their mind again. So why are they heroes? Because they don't mind changing their minds. They have no principles. No, they're heroic. They live in marginal seats and they care about immigration. What do we do? I guess we could fix the asylum system, increase house building and improve services so people don't feel under so much pressure. Yeah, we're trying to do all that. But we've also got to look tough. On immigration. On immigrants, yes. Because if we don't, then people will vote for reform. So we're focused on people who are thinking about voting reform. Yes, finally you get it. Oh, I see. Well, why don't we just tell people that reform's ideas are simplistic and unworkable, not to mention horrific, and also point out that their big idea of Brexit has just made everything worse? Oh, no, you don't get it. No, none of that. You absolutely can't do any of that. You cannot tell voters they got it wrong. We could campaign on making the electoral system fairer so this one group of voters don't have disproportionate influence. No more referendums, please. Then what do you suggest we do? We explain that reform's ideas are basically fine, they're just a bit extreme, and we'll do them in a more sensible way. So we're a kind of diluted version of reform? Well, no, I wouldn't. Since when has anyone wanted a diluted version of something rather than the full-strength version? I mean, if they're really anti-immigration, won't they just vote for the really anti-immigration people, not just people pretending to be? But we're not pretending. We really believe it. Look at these Facebook adverts we just put out, celebrating all the people we've deported. Is that the same blue that Reform uses? Yes, we're so like Reform, we'll even use their colours. Won't it just make people think it's an advert for Reform? Not if they read it carefully. Does anyone read anything carefully on the internet? Fair point. And look, even if you did manage to persuade a few of the reform-curious people that we're really tough on immigration, won't that just put off loads of our left-leaning voters? Well, they're not heroes. What? And anyway, who are they going to vote for instead? The Lib Dems, the Greens, the SNP, Plaid Cymru? Exactly, they're not serious threats. They don't have a Nigel Farage. I thought you hated Nigel Farage. I do. So why are you copying him? Because if history's taught me anything, it's that the only way to deal with the far right is to copy their policies, pander to their voters, and give them almost exactly what they want, because then they'll be very happy and leave us alone. Where did you study history? Trump University.
Matt Green there, please do check him out at mattgreencomedy.com. He's also on YouTube as well, so give him a follow. And he sums up that issue completely perfectly. We saw earlier today Labour, air quotes, boasting about doing anti-immigration raids and how they're going to be going into businesses, people's houses, this kind of thing. Just pandering to the right, as Matt Green so fantastically put it there. And one of the things he mentioned was the far right will just end up voting for reform anyway, and that's been reflected in what we've seen in the polls that we just went through. I don't think that's a good thing, of course. I'm not too sure what he said when he was saying, he described the Lib Dems as a left-wing party. Of course, they are on the right, just very mild relative to the Tories and Reform, I guess. I saw another, speaking of Reform, a great clip earlier. I thought I might have had that lined up, actually. I'll save that for another stream, though either tomorrow or PMQs on Wednesday. It was the who was it now? I've forgotten his name. From TUC, went to Clacton and interviewed constituents. It was all about workers' rights and this kind of thing. A bill to give people better rights in work, and guess who voted against it? I'll give you a clue. Let's see. There you go. Yeah. The thing is about the clip, when you see it, they almost seem shocked, you know, that they've been duped. What, you mean he's not the man of the people? You're kidding me. You're kidding me. What were they thinking? What were they thinking? Okay, people, that just about wraps it up for tonight's live stream. Thank you so much for joining me. Great to see some new faces as well. Thanks again to Helena and Kev for the raid earlier. Please do make sure you've hit thumbs up button on the stream before you go. And if you're not familiar with My Left Eye, please do check out some of the other content if this is your first time joining us tonight. I just have one more duty to fulfill before I leave, and that is to thank the members on the channel. I'll just remove the pop-out chat for one moment. And it's just 99 pence if you want to join this list of awesome people who support the channel. There are perks for you to enjoy. Please do hit the button and check them out. Special thanks to those of you gifted memberships on tonight's live stream and other live streams, of course. And a final reminder, if you're watching back on a replay, super thanks are open on the live streams. Just time for one final update from Andy on the tea situation over there, and it's gone cold. Sorry to hear that development. Not sure if you want to whack it in the microwave for a little bit, whatever your preference is, or if you don't mind drinking it at room temperature, then that's entirely up to you. Thank you for your updates on that situation tonight, Andy. Breaking news, quality streaming, quality audience, quality viewers. And yeah, I will be updating this list when I come off air. So thanks again to every single one of you. The good old brew crew. Always good to see the community growing. So there's nobody live at the moment to redirect or raid into, but I'll be sending you to an upcoming stream from All Shorts. Please do check them out as well. All that remains is for me to thank you one final time for joining me this evening. Take care until we see each other next time. Thanks again, Andy, for that gifted membership just before we leave. Solidari-Tea, brother. And yeah, take care of yourselves, everybody. My left eye, be seeing you soon. Good night. Free Palestine.